When I moved here from Virginia to Indiana, I had to move my driver's license from the state of Virginia to the state of India, and I had to prove that I am who I say that I am. And I could not believe the stuff that they wanted me to have to prove that. I had to have a birth certificate. Okay, that makes sense. Needed to have a social security card. That makes sense. I went with those things. You know what they told me? I needed some junk mail. Some junk mail. How is the fact that someone wants to sell me a timeshare prove that I am Daniel Edwards? They wanted to see some computerized mail with my name on it. And I made several trips to the license branch to get my identity confirmed, and I just had to have 4 things. When Jesus arrives, he fulfills all of these prophecies. And scholars go back and forth on exactly how many prophecies Jesus fulfilled, because sometimes they break them down into multiple prophecies. They say this verse is actually the fulfillment of 3 different things. And then some of them say, no, each one is its own thing. And so some of them say that he fulfilled more than 300. Others say maybe between 50 and 75. For me personally, I find that Jesus fulfills 65 prophecies from the Old Testament. He lives them out. And I wish I had time to tell you all 65, but I don't. So I'm just going to tell you 40. Jesus is the snake crusher from Genesis 3. He's the blessing of Abraham found in Genesis 12. He's the covenant of Isaac in Genesis 17. He's the offering of Jacob in Genesis 28. He's the unending reign of Judah in Genesis 49. He's the spotless lamb spoke of in Exodus 12. He's the ultimate blood atonement for sin in Leviticus 17. He's the voice of God himself in Deuteronomy 18. He's the faithful priest of 1 Samuel 2, and he is the eternal king in David's line from 2 Samuel 7. He's the living redeemer that Job hoped for in Job 19. He's the humble servant of Psalm 8, the stronghold for the troubled in Psalm 9. He's the forsaken son, the thirsty sacrifice, and the pierced savior of Psalm 22. He's the yielded spirit and abandoned friend of Psalm 31. He's the quiet defendant of Psalm 38. He's the righteous preacher of Psalm 40. He's the parable giver of Psalm 78. He's the life proclaimer in Psalm 118. He's the ignored preacher in Isaiah 6. He's the virgin son in Isaiah 7. He's the stumbling block made into a cornerstone in Isaiah 9. He's the backwoods preacher in Isaiah 9. He's the hope of nations in Isaiah 11. He's the final authority in Isaiah 22. He's the conqueror of death in Isaiah 25. He's the miracle worker of Isaiah 35. He's the closing act of Isaiah 40. He's justice for all in Isaiah 42. He's the pour out of the Spirit in Isaiah 44. He's the mocked and beaten face of Isaiah 50, and he's the freer of the captives in Isaiah 61. He's the indestructible king of Daniel 7. He's the end of all sin in Daniel 9. He's the refugee out of Egypt in Hosea 11. He's the Bethlehem baby in Micah 5. He's the donkey-riding king of Zechariah 9, and he is the betrayed friend of Zechariah 11. He is the Messiah. He is the Christ.